Hello everyone, it's the Dyslexic Lego Lover here, and this month I am building the Lego art set of the Milky Way Galaxy. This was one that I was so excited for when I saw that it was announced, and I just had to do it. It's so beautiful, and right now I have it displayed in my house because it is just a wonderful piece, and I've got so many compliments on it that people think it's so cool to see, and they love the 3D textureness of it all, and I just really love having it to look at on my mantle. Now this time I am going to be sharing the information that is found in the Lego instruction booklets, of which there were 4 for this set because it's quite large. So let's start with Welcome to Lego Art. Get ready to explore the building blocks of our galaxy with this breathtaking representation of the Milky Way. Expand your creative horizons with a vivid color palette of Lego shape elements. Details and accessories are your artistic medium. With unique building techniques, you can bring depth and texture to your journey through the wondrous galaxy we call home. Build and display. Invite a loved one or more to help you build. Your Lego Art Milky Way is built on 5 panels, each with its own building instructions booklet, allowing up to 5 builders to share the experience. The wall hanger element is integrated into your artwork so it's easy to hang on your wall. The Gaia Space Telescope. Launched by the European Space Agency in 2013, the billion-pixel Gaia Space Telescope has spent more than a decade traveling billions of miles through our galaxy. The Gaia mission's impact on astrophysics and our understanding of how the galaxy evolved has been enormous. So far, Gaia has mapped the exact positions, motions, composition, temperature, and luminosity of more than 1 billion stars and other astronomical objects, or about 1% of the Milky Way. Our solar system and Earth. You are here. Earth is a rare gem in our solar system and the known universe. Our lush and vibrant home planet peacefully coexists with 3 other terrestrial planets, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. Gas giants Saturn and Jupiter, and ice giants Uranus and Neptune. Only a century ago, it was estimated that the universe consisted of over 2,000 stars. In the past few decades alone, space missions have revealed a seemingly infinite number of galaxies in an ever-expanding universe. TRAPPIST-1. The TRAPPIST-1 system, 40 light-years from the Sun, is a red dwarf star, roughly the size of Jupiter, orbited by 7 Earth-sized exoplanets. Most of the planets are within the Goldilocks zone, or the habitable zone, and could have water vapor, running water, or ice on the surface. About 8% less dense than Earth, the planets are most likely composed of various ratios of iron, oxygen, magnesium, and silicon. The Pleiades. Messier 45, the 7 sisters, the Pleiades. By any name, this open star cluster is one of the nearest to Earth. At about 445 light-years away, it consists of more than 1,000 loosely connected stars. You don't even need a telescope to see them. Some of the biggest and brightest stars are visible in the Taurus constellation, most clearly in January. Observations of the cluster have been recorded for millennia, and it may have played a role in maritime navigation in ancient times. The Crab Nebula. The Crab Nebula is the aftermath of a supernova documented by astronomers in 1054 as a star so bright it could have been seen during the day over a period of several months. In fact, the explosion, 6,500 light-years away, would have briefly emitted light equivalent to 400 million suns. The Crab Nebula, now around 10 light-years across, rotates about 30 times per second, with a dense neutron star at the center forming an immense magnetic field and radiation. The Pillars of Creation. First discovered in 1920, only around 5,700 light-years from Earth in the Eagle Nebula, this star nursery region has fascinated the world in recent decades. Following publications of striking composite images from advanced space telescopes. Based on the detection of X-ray sources emitted from the region, it is estimated that hundreds of new stars are forming here. One in particular seems to contain 4 or 5 times the mass of our Sun. Sagittarius A. At the center of the Milky Way, 26,000 light-years from Earth, is Sagittarius A, a supermassive black hole with a mass of 4 million times that of the Sun. Black holes are collapsed astronomical objects with such intense gravitational pull that not even light can escape once it reaches the event horizon, which is the point of no return. Looking for life in all the right places. How extraordinary is life on Earth? Naturally, our current options for exploring the far-flung corners of every galaxy in the universe are limited. So should we still expect to find intelligent, sentient life out there? Sample analyses from recent Mars missions have shown that our red neighbor planet may once have sustained at least microbial life. A space exploration evolves over the next decades, centuries, and millennia. Who knows what we and our descendants will live to discover? Globular clusters. Globular clusters consist of tens of thousands to millions of stars bound tightly by gravitational attraction. Often spherical in shape, these clusters have been detected in all known types of galaxies, with around 150 detected so far in the Milky Way alone. Most stars in each cluster have formed around the same time, and their stability allows them to live long lives. One of the oldest known is Messier 15, estimated at around 12 billion years. Please remember that the information shared in this video is from the LEGO instructional booklet. No words were written by myself. And as always, thank you for listening and learning with me, and please enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.